just regarding a landlord, actually a limited liability company that owns these 3 buildings, 72 apartments, and they sent out letters to 17 unregulated tenants who pay market rate rents, telling them their leases are not going to be renewed, and so they have to vacate their apartments. So these tenants basically have no rights, and so we're coming together as a community to say it's unacceptable to force people out of their homes. These are tenants in good standing. They've done nothing wrong. A lot of them are paying really high rents, and they're just being told a year after moving in some cases, they have to be out after they paid thousands of dollars in broker's fees, and you know, they're going to have to pay relocation costs to move again. So it's almost 25% of the units, and we don't know whether they said that the new owner wants them vacated, but that they were in contract. But we don't know if they're still in contract, and we don't know who the potential owner is. But whether the new owners, several individuals who want to then come in and do personal use evictions against the remaining rent-stabilized tenants or whatever, we don't know.
My wife and I have lived in the East Village for 15 years.
All right.
My wife has worked in the East Village that whole time. We love the East Village. This is not just some neighborhood that we moved into because we thought it would be cool. We've lived here for over a decade. We love the East Village. The East Village became our home. And since in the last 60 days, we've had our life turned upside down because the landlord wants to make more money. We're not sitting here and saying that we're not paying our fair share. We are already paying fair market rent, and they're saying that's not enough. We want more. We're only going to be happy with more. And when I got into an argument with somebody from the office on the phone, she told me, why don't you just call your parents and ask for money?
Who parents?
My wife and I moved here on our own money, money that we made, to come here and make a life for ourselves here and make a home for ourselves. We did not come here on somebody else's dime. We haven't lived here on somebody else's dime, and all we're asking for is a fair shake.
Housing is the most important thing. You need a roof over your head. Without that, everything goes. Your health, your sanity. So, I was, and I'm proud to say it, I was a tenant organizer before I came into the city council. I was a legal services lawyer representing tenants before I came into the city council. And what I know is that back then, when we were fighting for rent protections, they weakened the laws. And so, back then, if you were in a rent-stabilized apartment, they could only keep raising your rent a certain amount. And back then, in the 1997, right, they changed the law so that if your rent reached a certain amount, you no longer had rent stabilization. And that if you made a certain amount of income, you no longer had rent stabilization. Well, in this city, we need rent stabilization. We need protection for tenants. And we can stand here and we know it. And we know it when we see buildings, one by one, like that one, being emptied out of our neighbors. And when that happens, you think it's not going to happen to me until it happens to you. So we all, 11th and B, I was walking around, we're all 6th and A, we're all here because we don't know when it's going to happen to us. There are several things we need to do. We need to stand with our neighbors. There's very little in the law that protects them, unfortunately, but we want to stand with them because community pressure can go a long way. We need people to go to Albany because they're the ones that are making the laws, not us. The legislators in Albany, all those Republicans who don't give a shit about tenants are making laws about us.
I do want to point out a couple of things that I researched. This building is now Fannie Mae. It used to be this company called Beech Street Capital, which then sold off the mortgage on the secondary market to Fannie Mae. which, as we all know, was bailed out by taxpayers to over $100 billion a few years ago. And here they are coming in and giving about $9 billion to these owners who are now trying to get 17 tenants out. It's outrageous. Fannie Mae's mission, part of their mission, is to stabilize and preserve communities, to preserve affordable home ownership and rental housing. So they should be targeted by this community also for what they're doing here. We need to hold them accountable. We need to get the regulatory agency that oversees them to be aware of what Fannie Mae is doing.
Yeah. They're going to hear from us.
Right. So we have to go after Albany.
My name's Peter G. I'm from Asian Americans for Equality with my colleague Joan. We're here to let you know that Chinatown is standing with you.
All right.
These landlords are so shady. They are doing everything in their power to push people out. Right now in Chinatown, these landlords are intentionally neglecting their building and then calling on the building department to get the building demolished. That's how desperate they are.
That's right.
But you know what's not so shady? People coming together. And by us standing with you here today, we are telling and sending a strong message to the landlords and also to our legislators that we're fired up and we will not take it anymore. And so we need to keep it up.
Thank you, Peter.
My name is Sonia Ramon. I'm a housing attorney at the Urban Justice Center Community Development Project. My project's aim is to partner with community-based organizations like GOLES and like AFI and like Cooper Square to preserve affordable housing, to provide advice to their members, to please call the Division of Housing and Community Renewal and get your rent history. We've already spoken to a lot of folks, asked them to call DHCR and get their rent histories. We need everybody in these 3 buildings to do that so we can see what's really going on. Thanks.
They have laws that allow this to happen. It's no accident that it's happening. The laws have facilitated mass evictions in the city. We got to change the laws. We got to change Albany. We got to go to sooner or later on a citywide rent strike.
This Friday night at 7:45. Over right near Mary House, your neighbors right across the way are showing a movie called The Vanishing City. And if you want to know how this happened and how it's happening on East 4th Street and all over the city, this film is about the policies in the city that are enabling this. Afterwards, we're going to talk to some housing specialists to find out what we can do to change things.